Well, the good thing about Doug is he was a jack of all trades. He was, pretty good makeup guy. He was a decent actor. He was all-around crew guy. He was one of them dependable guys you can count on.
Right, yeah. Well, back then, you had to do everything.
Right, but you couldn't count on everybody, and it was nice to know you can count on a few handful of people.
Well, I don't think there's any brand left of real guerrilla filmmakers. Like, I was telling the guys that we used to, we couldn't afford to pay a hotel or whatever to light the thing because the electric bill was, you had to have big lights and pour it down. So we used to climb the pole and tie into the main juice, which was about 10,000 watts.
Yeah, Greg Clark will tell you those stories. Yeah, you just come in and just like steal the electricity to shoot your lights. And it was like, there was always one guy on the crew that said, I know how to do it. And you were just hoping he didn't fly off the pole.
Yeah, get fried. Yeah. So ask some questions.
So you, the very first movie you directed, you weren't initially set to direct. You were kind of just thrown in. The Checkered Flag was not supposed to be your directorial debut. How did you end up becoming the director?
Well, I'm so damn old. I was in the Korean War, and when I got out, I thought originally I wanted to be an actor, and I did summer stock up in Woodstock, New York, and Chatham on the Cape, and I don't know, in Maverick Theater in Woodstock, I worked with a guy named Lee Marvin. I don't know if anybody remembers Lee. Lee was a World War II veteran. He was a Marine. He got shot in the ass right through his wallet. Some Jap shot him in the ass. But anyway, so when I got out of the service, I got married, and I said, boy, this acting's not too secure, So I started writing scripts, and I wrote about 10 scripts, and I got the rejection slips to prove I wrote them, because nobody would buy one. And finally, I sold what called the Checkered Flag, which was about racing up at Sebring. And back in those days, there were no directors in Florida. But this guy who was great on a used car lot commercial or something, he wanted to direct. And so we're up at Sebring at the races, and the first day, the guy has a nervous breakdown and collapsed. And the investors are panic-stricken, and we're in the motel room at 1 in the morning, and what are we going to do? We got to get a director. And the cameraman was an old pro that had retired, and he listened to all these panicked investors, and he said, look, you got to find a director in New York or California, and by the time you get one here, it's going to take forever. The races. He said, what the hell? The writer knows about it. Make him the director. And I'm in the... So they drafted me in a motel room at 1 in the morning to direct the movie. And fortunately, the movie made money. So that's started my career.
But there's a lot of guys with the same story that were thrust into it, and then you look through the lens, you have a good eye, you make a movie that makes money, and then you learn as you go along. It's just one of those things. You've been a writer, you've been a producer, you've been a director. I mean, is there one certain job you've liked over another, or is it as you went along, the complete package is nice because the film at the end is yours?
Yeah, well, all-around filmmaker, And, I talk a lot to these college film students, and they ask me, what film school did you go to? And I tell them the School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, it's the same thing everybody told me when I grew up. How do you learn? The School of Hard Knocks. You try, you get shot down, some are better than others. I was going to say, now you've made every type of film, made horror films, drug exploitations, juvenile delinquent, racing films, comedies. Do you have a favorite genre, or was it just the producers want this and I'll do this?
No, well, I was always tried to follow a trend. If you're the second guy out, you make money.
Right, Hollywood makes them, so if you're the guy who sweeps them on their tail, then
But if you're the fifth or sixth guy out, you don't. Just like, I wrote the story of Mako Jaws of Death, and I couldn't get arrested. Nobody would buy or back the thing. And a guy named Spielberg came up with a movie called Sharks, And anybody old enough, Sharks, God, Life magazine, Time magazine, everything was sharks, So a lot of distributors and money guys that had read my story, they called me up. Here the sons of bitches that, turned me down, but Bill, oh buddy, how the hell are you?
Still got that script?
And so anyway, I started shooting, and we beat, see, you guys can't realize the publicity that Jaws had, unbelievable. And we beat Jaws out in Europe, and I had my money back before we even finished editing the movie.
Well, with it being Bill Grefe, you're like, well, let's just use real sharks, right? They're not too dangerous. Let's just hang out with some actual sharks, right?
No, they were all CGI.
So what was it like dealing with these real sharks? What was it like dealing with these real sharks?
Well, we had no CGI, none of that crap today, So anyway, I directed a lot of the action stuff, like the James Bond film, Live and Let Die.
Sure, let's have a little offshoot. That was
He's going to talk about the sharks for a second. What about the real sharks? What was it like with the...
Well, Live and Let Die, he did the real shark scene, so we could go off on a little tangent on that.
All right, we won't talk about the sharks in Mako. We'll go and talk.
No. I'm gonna tell them how we do sharks. Okay?
Yeah.
Gently.
We always shoot in Bimini, because Bimini's 50 miles off Florida, and it's real clear water. So the way we did the sharks is out on the reef off Bimini. We'd get a cement block, and we'd tie a long rope to it, and get a big shark hook, and we'd get a snapper or mullet or whatever about this big, and we'd put the shark, the hook through his tail, and we'd throw out maybe 10 blocks at nighttime, and every morning you'd have 3 or 4 big tigers, and they get hooked, and then they'll drag that around until they get tired, and then they'll swim in a circle, And then we got a casket, and the casket shoots oxygen into the water, and we'd, throw the sharks in there, and then we had in South Bimini, I don't know if anybody's been to South Bimini, there's a place down there that had a little harbor, and we'd block that harbor off and keep the sharks, and we had them with a long manila rope around their tail, and as we wanted to use them, we'd take a gaffer's hook and hook the rope and pull them up, throw them in the casket, and take them out in the ocean and work them, Now you want to know the secret of working with a shark?
Tire them, Mom.
Don't get bit.
The secret is this. Like, we had 10, 12-foot tigers, and we'd grab them by the tail, and we'd pull them backwards, and it knocks the oxygen out of them.
Yep.
And so they're not as frisky.
Drowsy.
So they'll work great for about 15 or 20 seconds, but then you better get the hell out of the way. So, anyway, did anyone see Mako Jaws of Death?
Yeah.
Yeah, great film. My favorite Jaws type film, I must say.
But the girl scene, we had this shark in Bimini, and the girl does the acrobatic act in the pool, and so we had this shark on the beach, and the crew came up and said, "Hey Bill, we can get $25 a shark tooth, because everything was shark necklaces and this and that." So they said, "Can we pull the teeth?" And I said, "Yeah, go ahead, pull the teeth." So they pulled the teeth out.
We don't have any tree-hugging animals.
So anyway.
Because they just fall out. On Bill's behalf, they really do. When you go up there with a hammer and a pliers, they just fall.
So anyway, we get in the damn saltwater pool, and the girl's doing her acrobatic act, and the damn shark is alive. And anybody that has seen that scene, you can see that shark, boom, grabs her, you know. And I was underwater and my mask my eyeballs almost popped out. You know? And we had to swim up and pull this shark off the gal, you know, but he was gumming her to death. You know?
I love it.
So anyway,
I know. Ken, is there a joke somewhere?
Oh, there is. I thought of 3 of them, but you know.
That was a good joke there. You just had to think about it.
Yeah, it's his own joke.
anybody see Stanley?
Yeah, yeah.
Stanley, we will be showing Stanley. I don't want to talk too much about
We're gonna
Stanley
do an
because
intro
tomorrow Bill's going to do an intro. Before we even do the intermission reel tomorrow, we'll talk about Stanley. And Bill's got some great stories about it. So tomorrow, but we can touch on it. But I don't want to tell too many stories if you plan on coming
For a
in.
focused talk on Stanley tomorrow,
focused
before
talk
the
on
intermission.
Stanley, yeah.
This is a Stanley-free zone.
But if you have something to say about it, please go ahead, Bill.
All CGA snakes, no real rattlesnake.
Yeah, there's not a real snake in Stanley, and he didn't wind up as a wallet.
Bill Grefe was a pioneer of the animal rights movement.
I don't think he mistreated animals, but who the fuck gives a shit about a rattlesnake except now? Like, what kind of tree-hugging bastard says, don't hurt that poisonous thing, let it bite me? I'm sorry, I grew up with West Virginia, Pennsylvania roots, and we used to beat them with a stick. I'm just going to go out there and say that. We killed a lot of snakes.
They taste good with scrambled
We
eggs.
used to collect copperhead rattlers, you know, so it's like, screw you people, but we ate them. I grew up poor and we ate the damn thing.
Speaking of eating, how'd you get involved with second unit work on I Eat Your Skin?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Nice segue.
Love that segue.
Nice segue.
Well, I don't know if you guys, Bob, I have trouble with
Bob Borowski.
Bob Borowski, he won the Academy Award for Best Editor of Hurt Locker.
And was nominated 2 other times. Bob runs Grindhouse Films.
And Bob loves Grindhouse. He's got a little distribution company called Grindhouse Productions. So this really made my day when you hear this. Bob called me up about 2 months ago and he said, Bill, he said, I'm going to put out I Eat Your Skin on Blu-ray. He said, I looked through all of the credits and you're the only guy left alive I could find. And I said, thanks a lot, Bob.
I don't know if that's flattering
You really flattered me. I'm the only guy left alive you called, you know. So anyway, he asked me to do a 20-minute shtick for the behind-the-scenes stuff, you know. And I had never seen the movie because the guy that wrote and directed it was a guy named Del Cheney, produced it. And Del came to Florida, and I was sort of more starting my career. So he called me, and I helped him get the crew and equipment and stuff. And so he hired me as second unit director. And I don't know if anybody ever been South Florida in the summer, but the humidity, I mean, you melt. And he couldn't stand it, so he was an inside New York guy, you know, in the studio. So when I looked at this movie, I directed like 90% of all the exterior scenes, and he worked in the studio with air conditioning, you know. So anyway, that's what Bob said, you know. In fact, they're coming out in 2 weeks. They're coming out with a 2-hour documentary on my film career, and it's called "They Came from the Swamp." So anyway, but